Yeah guys, if you often need access to your M.2 SSDs or your 2.5 or 3.5 inch traditional hard disk drives, then I have an awesome docking station for you. And it's not only a docking station supporting all these standards except from M.2 SATA, but also working as a really fast and air-cooled cloning station from M.2 SSDs to traditional hard disk drives, or of course usually these days from hard disk drives to M.2 SSDs, without having to use drivers, without having to use additional software, which can be very difficult to use. And I know what I'm talking about. I've already tried to clone a hard disk drive to an SSD and it never worked. So this could be a much easier solution. By the way, the brand is the very reliable Xiaobi. Of course, I have to admit that I got this docking station for free to show you all the really nice features and how this works. But it's still my honest opinion. I would never claim something which is not true. And here you can see also the model type, BIMS01, and that's what we get here. Of course, we get the power supply, like usually with such docking stations, because there's a CPU with software running here, and also, of course, needed for the strong ventilation. And we get the USB-C to C data cable, but with an option to convert USB-C to A. So we also have A to C. And here we have the docking station for soft rubber feet. And we have this space-saving fan, which you can just flip up and use. And we have also, of course, the instructions manual. I would say a really nice, solid build. Nothing to complain. Here in the back, we have the cloning direction, either SATA to NVMe or the other direction. We have the USB-C connection to a laptop or computer, DC power supply on-off switch, and here on top we have some indicators to see what's going on, and of course the start button for the cloning function. And so I have everything hooked up. You can see USB-C to C connection to the computer, and we have also power, and I have some hard disk and SSDs on the side. By the way, everywhere the serial number is nicely covered. No serial numbers to see. And so let's try if we can read just normal SSD, just pushing it here inside, turn it on in the back. We get this red light. Fan starts automatically. Really nice cooling. So what's going to happen? And so it looks like we have only one file here. Can delete it. If you're planning to use it for cloning, you don't have to delete the files manually, because everything will be deleted automatically anyway. By the way, I got also confirmation light here for the NVMe. So I stop it here. Now trying with an M.2 SATA SSD. You can see we have the right notches, but it's really a SATA SSD, which is rather rare. It's an older one. I can still push it here inside and turn it on. According to the specs, it should not be possible to read it. You have opened the Explorer here manually, and you can see the C drive of this PC is the only thing which shows up here. So definitely doesn't work for M.2 SATA SSDs. And trying here with a 2.5 inches traditional SATA hard disk drive. Let's see. Yeah, looks like it has a couple of partitions here, and it has opened every logical disk drive ladder individually. That's perfect. We can see that also here in the overview. Now trying also with this older 3.5 inches hard disk drive. Turn it on. Here I have a special situation because I have confirmation for the SATA, but it's not formatted for Windows because I've been using it in a network storage drive. By the way, I'm not going to do a speed test here of this docking station, because first thing, I don't have USB 3.2 Gen 2. I have only standard 3.2, which is supporting only 5 gigabits transfer per second and not the full 10 gigabits which we have here from this docking station. But I actually don't have to do that because I've already tested some other SSD docking station or SSD enclosures from Xiaobi, and they have been performing really good. I would say absolutely top notch for USB 3.2 Gen 2. They have been as close as possible to the maximum of this standard. Here the focus is more on if we can really get access to all these different type of SSDs and hard disk drives, and obviously that worked. So now let's do a cloning test. Very important to have either equal size or larger size as a destination compared to the original hard disk drive. So here we have 750 gigabytes, here we have 1 terabyte, that should work. It's a little bit more complicated here because we have different partitions, but maybe it's also a good test to see. By the way, SATA and NVMe lights have turned off. They are usually just lighting up after booting the docking station, so don't have to be worried. To start the cloning process, we hit here, but for a couple of seconds till we see all the blue lights here. Yeah, it didn't start. Maybe it's because it was connected to the computer. Maybe we can only start it offline. So I hit the cloning button again. And now we have these 4 blue lights, or at least we had them for very short time. Now it's definitely working. We see source and target flashing, and also the 25% LED is flashing. And so it took exactly 2 hours to finish. We still have all the lights on, and we have 4 blue lights, which confirms that we have been successful. So now I can plug it in again. And so that's what's visible here in Windows Explorer. But we had already 3 partitions before. So shouldn't there be 6 after cloning? Because we have now 2 disks with 3 partitions each. The problem is because they are totally identical, Windows isn't showing the partitions of the second drive to prevent any conflicts. So could be either this one or this one. But of course it's possible to show everything. But for that we have to go to the partition manager, where we can see the partitions of the first disk, but the second disk is offline. We can see we have exactly the same partitions, so the cloning seems to have worked properly. And now I can right click here and put it online, and then the system will automatically assign dedicated drive letters. Just takes a couple of seconds, and now you can see we have exactly same thing here, except from 255 gigabytes, which are unallocated because the destination was 1 terabyte and the source was only 750 gigabytes. That's perfect. And so of course to use that we have to allocate that here in the partition manager. That's not an error in the cloning software, that's just how this works, exactly as expected. So we can, for example, just make it a new simple volume. Click a couple of times on next, and then we have it here. But of course I wanted to make a test to see if it has been really copying everything. So here I've been using this program here to compare 2 of the drives, or actually partitions. So I've been taking the largest one with most of the files, and you can see here the result has been comparing for many hours. And you can see here we have everything identical. Of course some system files unable to compare here, and here binary file identical. So looks everything really good. Unfortunately I don't have a PC to show you the booting process of this cloned device, but I have no doubt that this would work perfectly. By the way, also cooling has been working really good. I've tested a couple of times during the cloning process and also during the comparison process, and nothing got really hot or so barely warm thanks to the really strong fan. And so if you're interested into this Xiaobi docking station or cloning station, then you can find the link to the Amazon listing down into the description of the video, so you can check it out, or the one for you if you like. And I hope I've been able to help you a little bit with this video. If you have any questions or comments or want to share your own experience with this cloning station, then just let us know down in the feedback area. I'm always happy to talk about these things. And if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.